JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Friday, October 31st, 9:18 a.m. Happy Halloween for those that celebrate. Talk quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from the S&P up nearly 0.75% to end the week on the heels of Amazon and Apple's monster quarters. Amazon just a monster results. Last quarter a little I wouldn't even call it like bumpy, a bumpy road, but it was like one of the few of the Mag 7 that kind of had results that wasn't received as positively. I think it was down 6-7% last quarter. This quarter a little different, right? And let's see here. Sorry, I don't have this up. um, but it looks like it's on track to have its best day in years if it holds. Was up like 13% in pre-market. So good stuff there. Their web service side of the business, which was the issue last quarter, uh, was the flip side, monster. And I thought that the web services last quarter was good, but I guess it wasn't good enough. And this quarter totally different. And then also the capex spend, right? And I talked about yesterday with Meta selling off because they worry about their capex spend and what the ROI and that's going to be. Amazon's different, right? Because a lot of their profits and revenues, were a majority of their profits derived from AWS. So to see their capex estimates, 120 billion, just like a mind-boggling number. So all good stuff there. The funny thing about yesterday, the S&P closed down nearly 1%, but it was like one of those, I think, an orderly trade sell-off, right? The VIX was flat as a pancake, and markets tried to find some footing at the open, and then it was just kind of like a slow melt to the end of the day. To me, like, you can chalk it up to profit taking. You have maybe some cautiousness after Fed Chair Powell sounded a little hawkish on his press conference on Wednesday. But outside that, I mean, markets at all-time highs. At some point, we're going to have some kind of pull, right? And if you're going to have a pull, the variety of orderly sell-off is probably the one that you would want, as opposed to some crazy, knee-jerk reaction, large swing. So we'll see what today brings. Obviously, the market recouping some of the loss from yesterday. 685 is a big spot on the SPY, so that'll be a spot. Kind of want to see it close above that. It was a started a week. I thought 685 would be a target, and here we are exactly at 685. So maybe some chop here into the end of the week, and then more earnings next week. I think there was 180 companies reported after close yesterday. So I don't want to go into all the other names, but I'll talk about those in a second. Just some things to watch. It's funny. I was talking about the lack of the market breadth, and why don't I have this here? But yesterday, the amount of stocks trading over their 50-day moving average on the S&P, you would think would have went down with the S&P being down 1%, but it was flat as a pancake, right? So riddle me that, right? So funny with that as well. The thing I am watching though is the yields, and the yields for the third day or second day in a row back over 4% and keep ticking higher. So don't want to see that trend continue, and then you'll have those the talks about the U.S. debt, right? Nobody talked about it in the last month or so, but after the big beautiful tax bill, everybody was on edge, right? The U.S. was going to default on its debt, all the crazy things that people talk about, and then it gets pushed aside to the next narrative, which obviously the government shut down, and now it's all about the SNAP benefits, and then we'll move on to another one. Hopefully that gets resolved soon. I'm hoping like Monday or Tuesday, and then we can move on to the next possible headline. All right, that's overall markets. Now, just quick on individual names. Michael Burry this morning or yesterday evening came out. He always tweets. I think his last big tweet, it just said sell now or something, right? Sell. And that was like the markets went on a 50% rally since then. But his tweets and his commentary get a lot of publication because he is, notorious for that big short, right? But now he's saying, doesn't know a bubble. I forget the exact wording of his post. Sometimes we see bubbles. Sometimes there's something to do about. The only winning move is not to play. So we'll see how that. So he's calling it a bubble. I don't know. He was long China ADR stocks, did well, I guess. And he was in puts on Nvidia. Who knows what his positioning looks like? But I said no watch. It's like you can say we're in a bubble. Maybe we are in a bubble. Maybe we're in a bubble since April. Maybe we're in a bubble for the last 2 years. We don't to call it a bubble. That's one thing. But to try and time the top and when the market finally prices that in and starts to react, who knows, right? And the market's forward-looking pricing mechanism. So by the time the bubble, you would think we're not when it is, the market's already going to have sold off. So, all right, that's overall markets. 688 upper bones. Well, 685 is the key spot. What do I have? Of course, I don't have my chart up here. I do apologize. Sorry, and I'm trying to get this out. Upper Bollinger Band 688.50. So if we do get a rally here today, that's a spot of possible resistance. 685 and then 678 on downside. So that's overall market. Just quick on individual names. I did some lottos yesterday. First, I'll just really quick on SanDisk, one of those FOMO names, right? And it's a name that could go up 15% today after the open. Western Digital posted a monster monster quarter on the heels of Seagate's numbers the day before. It could go up 15% today. It could be flat. It can go down 15% today. So because of that, it creates opportunity, especially you can find some decent risk reward strikes that have low premiums. Don't be surprised if I tried some more lottos today. I thought maybe it'd be 210, 215 at the open. So because of that, maybe it spikes at the open. May try some more lottos. I was looking all day on Wednesday. Then on Thursday, finally pulled the trigger. Those aren't going to pan out, but I'll continue to look for opportunities. Small, right? So small can turn big quick. If you try and bet big, big can come small very quickly too. So me, when I trade my options, sizing is important. All right, so that's SanDisk. Roku after the close. So Roku finally started to move yesterday morning, and then waiting all week for it to do so I can get some premium build. Got the November 21st strikes. Sure enough, within an hour or two, they're up 50, 60%. And then I'm thinking in my head, one of these quarters, it's going to have its 25 to 30% move. Held the calls, could have locked some in. I've done that before too. Sometimes I can get out for 100%, hold the rest. And then sure enough, after the close, if you told me the earnings, I'd say, wow, it's going to run up 20%. Huge beat and raise. Their first profitable quarter, they upsided their profits for the full year. They upsided their revenue. And this is all in the face of the tariffs and everything going on, right? And the stock was getting destroyed back in April because people were pulling back on advertising spend, whatever the whole bear case was. And then sure enough, here it is down this morning. It just boggles my mind. Again, I've said this before, like, are they pricing it like it's competitive concerns eventually going to price to make this a zero growth story? I don't know. The thing is they flipped to a profit story. So now they've become profitable. They only trade 2.5 times revenues. They're doing a stock buyback. I still don't. So maybe today's the day it goes red to green at the open and then has a slingshot move to 110 plus. Don't be surprised if I tried some lottos. I think it's such a great story. It's funny, you read the headlines, and they're still talking about their hardware side of the business. Oh, hardware sales are down 5% year over year. And and then it was down after hours yesterday, and it says, oh, huge beat, but the stock is down on streaming hours missed. I'm like, that's not a metric. It's only a metric that matters when someone who's bearish on a stock puts their piece out, which that Rosenblatt and I think Morgan Stanley are all negative on Roku. Maybe that's some reason. All right. So that's Roku. Reddit tried to play some lottos for premium build into earnings yesterday. Got stopped out, closed them out before the close. And then another name, just like Roku, if you had scripted up earnings, I would say it'd be up 25, 30%. Huge beat and raise. I mean, these are monster numbers for Reddit. It's just like mind-boggling. And not only that, it's like in the face of all the negativity that surrounds the stock, that their user growth is down and things. And that hasn't been the case. So, it's up here at 220. It is up. So it's up, 12, 13% in the pre-market. I think it trades to 240 plus. Depending on what it does this morning, I might look for some strikes into next week. That's Reddit. That's Roku. Yesterday morning, I got the FLWS calls back in. It's reversed the lows from its earnings. I think this trades north of 5 in the coming weeks and then substantially higher in the coming months. Turnaround story. High short interest too. At some point, you have to think the meme folks are going to come into this one. That's FLWS. In the afternoon yesterday, Canva is a competitor with Adobe, does some of the software stuff, things like that. They came out, or at least there was a report. I think they have a deck that came out in regards to their services or what have you. I don't know if they're doing a presentation, but it came out that some of their services might be free, and you saw Adobe just get slammed in a matter of a second, all the way from I think it was 342 down to 331. To me, it was kind of like a sign, hey, how sensitive this name is to any kind of weakness. 327, a big spot. I think it breaks status, heading under $300. I don't know if I have my chart here, but take a look at this chop over the last 2 months. And I think I'm biased to the downside. Again, I think they're late to the AI story, right? That's one. So I think it's eating their lunch. And two, I think it offers a decent hedge play if markets find pressure. AI, Roku, Reddit, Monster cloud numbers. So to me, when you have monster cloud numbers for AWS and Amazon, that bodes well for MDB. I was looking at I think I put on the watch list yesterday. I was talking on a rant 365s. They were expensive. Not going to look so expensive this morning. Sitting here at 355. I might try and get some lottos. Premiums are going to be expensive. So don't be surprised if I do some MDB. And end of the day yesterday, back in VKTX. Talked about Obesity Week next week, November 4th to November 7th. You also have another article this morning on M&A in not only in the overall market, but the GLP-1 space. You have to get that plus the chart, the gap fill, all those ingredients, I think sets it up for a move to break into the 40s next week. And that's it, folks. Have a great day. I'll be back. Happy Halloween. Rock and roll.